by 8. So.
Okay.
Okay, I knew they were in bed that day because the door was shut. So my last physical day that I saw them was the 15th, but I knew they were there the 16th.
But just in the stress of the moment on the 15th over here, you said the 8th because you had other things rolling through
I
your
was
head.
thinking it was associated with me going back to work, not associated with Father's Day. You know how you try to trigger something that might remember? Because I knew I had seen my dad. I had seen my dad, somewhere around there, and I knew I saw my dad on the 8th. Did not realize it was back to back.
Okay. So you pointed at this for some reason.
Yeah. Casey told me starting here that she was crashing at Zanny's. The 16th she was crashing at the babysitter's. And then it went to Tuesday crashing at Zanny's because she had an early morning again. And then on the, I know, I won't give you time to write. I still have time. On the 18th she told me that...
Casey told you?
Casey told me that Zanny and...
Kaylee.
Zanny and Kaylee and Annabelle. Annabelle was Juliette Lewis's daughter, who was a co-worker. I mean, this is what she told me was a co-worker, that they were going to stay at Hard Rock Hotel because they had some convention that they had to work on. Okay. So they stayed at Hard Rock through the 20th.
Zanny and the baby stayed through the 20th.
Mm-hmm. With both children. Zanny was watching both children.
Where'd she stay?
Casey was staying at the hotel too. After her meeting, she would go back to the hotel. And that was till the 20th. And then from the 20th, they moved the conference, she said, to Tampa at a hotel. I think she said the Marriott outside of Busch Gardens.
Was Zanny staying at the Hard Rock too?
Yep. Watching the girls.
And Zanny went to Tampa too?
Yep. And...
So who paid for Zanny's room?
Casey said that it was paid for through her work.
Through whose work? Casey's?
Casey's and Juliet's work.
They paid for Zanny's room?
It was Casey's and Juliet's room. Zanny stayed there babysitting girls.
So they stayed through your room plus Zanny's child plus...
Zanny doesn't have a child.
Zanny has no child.
Oh, Juliet's child.
Juliet's child. Zanny was there for the babysitter of the 2 girls while the 2 adults went to work. It was the situation. That's what she said. That's what she told me.
Okay.
Now, Casey called me in the morning on Saturday and told me that they were wrapping things up and they would probably be home later that day. But then I got a phone call later that day and said there was one last meeting that they had to go to, so they were going to come home on Sunday, leave from, Busch Gardens on Sunday the 22nd.
One last meeting.
Yeah, so they were going to stay over another night.
Would Casey normally call your phone if you're at work? Like during the week when she's telling you all this? Or would she call you at work?
Once in a great while she may leave me a message at work to call her, but usually she called my cell phone.
Okay, so if she called your work number, it would be to just leave a message? Or?
Yeah, typically.
Bear with me.
No
What are your numbers?
My work number's 407-629-7992.
629-7992.
Mm-hmm.
Gentiva, right?
Yes. And then my cell phone's 407-808-4731.
Okay.
Now, on the 22nd, I talked to her in the morning. She said that Zanny... Actually, I think she said Zanny's roommate has come in. Raquel. That's right, Raquel was with her. She said Raquel was with her when they went to Busch Gardens. So that was the 21st. Zanny and her roommate were together.
She called you the 22nd, told you that?
Yeah.
So they were going to stay at the park for the day?
They were going to stay at the park for the day because Zanny and Raquel had taken the girls to see the animals at the Busch Gardens and stuff like that.
You ever meet Raquel?
No.
You ever meet Juliet?
No.
Okay.
Never met Zanny.
Oh, we know that.
I know, but I'm just saying, never met them.
What about Jennifer?
No. But she talked about Raquel and Jennifer a long time ago as being Zanny's roommates.
When do they get back?
Well, here's the deal. They ended up staying at the park so that Casey and Juliet could actually enjoy the park too. So all 4 adults and the 2 girls went to the park that day, and then so they stayed one more night and was on their way back Monday morning on the 23rd.
And where's the accident?
On the 23rd. She said it was they were just getting off. I hadn't heard from Casey all day. She had told me that they were supposed to be home by around noon. On Monday. I think at some point I called George and asked if he had heard from Casey or she'd gotten home. I can't remember what time, and he said no. So I think I'd left Casey a message or two to find out what was going on, because I just wanted to make sure they got back safely. Casey finally called me back, because she hadn't called me back all day, and I was a little bit worried and realized she wasn't home. I had a little sick feeling that something wasn't right. So she finally called me back later in the evening, probably after 5:30, because I was already leaving work. And she was apologizing. She says, "Mom, I know I should have called you."
This day?
Yeah, that day.
A little after 5:30?
Sometime after 5:30, I'm sure, because it was on my way home from work.
On your cell phone?
Yeah, it was on my cell phone. I'm pretty positive. At some point, she called me back. I know it wasn't at work. She may have tried to call me at work, but...
And what she said? What happened?
She told me that they had gotten to Raquel and Zanny were about 8 cars ahead of her and Juliet and the girls. Casey had her car, Zanny had their car. So Zanny and Raquel were ahead, and somehow there was an accident, and Casey and Juliet witnessed the accident. So they followed the paramedics, to the hospital. And I asked her, I said, was it Tampa General? And she said, yeah. So she said they went to Tampa General Hospital.
They were all at Tampa General on the 23rd, sometime after 5:30.
Yeah. Well, they were there during the accident happened in the morning, is what she said. But I found out about it when Casey finally called me back. She apologized to me for not calling her back sooner, but she said they were tied up. She was there in the ER with Zanny and Raquel.
So Zanny was treated for an injury?
Said. Yes, and I think I told you guys that, to check that out. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll get past that. We'll do it now. I mean, if it was an oversight, we'll just move past.
Yeah, I told someone. If not you, I told Sergeant Allen about it.
All right. Well, that's why we're in here.
Right.
All right. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, she said that Raquel had a broken arm, and she said that they finally got a hold of Raquel's mom. Raquel's mom was coming from Jacksonville to come down and be with her.
Broken arm. And what kind of injuries did Zanny have?
She said Zanny had a concussion.
Concussion.
Mm-hmm. And she thought she had put a call into Zanny's sister, and her sister couldn't bring her come up that night, so Casey stayed with her. And I was a little upset with Casey, because I told her, I said, well, where's Kaylee? I said, where's Kaylee? She says, well, Juliet went back to the hotel because it was, just real close. She said they had barely gotten onto the interstate, and I believe she said they had just gotten on 75. So they went back to the hotel. She was able to get back into the hotel, and she was with the girls. Juliet was watching Annabelle and Kate.
So she stayed over due to the accident on the 23rd, she stayed over in Tampa again on the 24th at a hotel.
Only she stayed at the hospital with, Casey said
Casey all night at the hospital?
Yes. And she had told me, I talked to her the next morning, and she said that there was potential that Zanny was going to be released, that Raquel...
Zanny was an overnighter?
Yeah, well, actually it lasted a little longer. I'll have to explain. Okay. That Raquel's mom was going to take her back to her apartment back in Orlando, Zanny's in Raquel's apartment, and get Raquel seen. And she actually told me that she was going to be seen at Jewett, where I used to work at.
Jewett Orthopedic Clinic?
Yeah.
For a concussion?
No. Raquel for the broken shoulder. Yeah, broken arm.
Okay.
Broken shoulder, broken arm?
Well, humerus shoulder for, upper arm is what she said, so... Anyway, later on that day they were going to release Zanny, but she said Zanny started vomiting. She said Zanny started blacking out. She was supposed to go home that day, didn't, but they kept her overnight because she was starting to vomit and have blackouts. So they were working her up a little bit more, and she said they also found that she had a laceration behind her ear. She was real specific. Laceration behind her ear, and they had to give her some stitches. And then